If a used car salesman sells a used, broken down car as new, a car that he knows is defective, would it be smart of you to focus your anger on the manufacturer of the car? Well, of course not. But that's exactly what the Democrats and the press are doing. Instead of holding Joe Biden's regime accountable for the harm they are doing while in power, the crooked press is instead focused on protecting Joe Biden by suggesting President Trump is guilty of crimes that Joe Biden has admitted to. Today, the Chris Salcedo Show reminds you that the product being put out by the likes of CNN and ABC is biased, left-wing, and unfair. I am the balance. The Chris Salcedo Show keeps the facts that are being omitted by the mainstream press in full view of the American people. In today's preamble, CNN and the Democrat press are focused on tapes allegedly recorded in July of 2021 at President Trump's Bedminster Resort. They were allegedly recorded during interviews for people working on the memoir of Mark Meadows, Trump's former chief of staff. President Trump, one of the few presidents not to get us into a war, was reportedly talking about war plans against the #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. Questions arise over this leak. Chief among them, who leaked it? Was it the devious special counsel, Jack Smith? Was it one of the Trump staffers who leaked this recording? As President Trump surges in the polls, does anybody out there think the leak of this tape is coincidental? I took some calls on the Chris Salcedo radio show today. One person suggested he was tired of defending President Trump. But the lion's share of other callers said with every leak, with every attack and cheap shot taken by Democrats, the Mitch McConnell Surrender Caucus, and the press, the people's loyalty to President Trump increases. The polls show that. But like the Access Hollywood tapes, leftists in the Democrat and Republican Party are claiming this is the end of Trump. And as was the case with the Access Hollywood tapes, they would be wrong. Because with every leak, every attack and distraction, the American people are starting to wonder why those who are doing such great harm with open borders, promotion of crime, cultural decay, and profligate and irresponsible spending, why are those people so afraid of President Trump? And if those people who have declared war on Western civilization and the American people fear Trump, then that makes Trump an ally in the minds of 75 million Americans, probably more. As to the substance that President Trump did anything wrong with the information he possessed, he has addressed this.
In other words, whatever documents the president decides to take with him, he has the absolute right to take them. He has the absolute right to keep them, or he can give them back to NARA if he wants. He talks to them like we were doing, and he can do that if he wants. That's the law, and it couldn't be more clear.
Judicial Watch actually fact-checked the president and found he was reading that law correctly. It was true. We also know that for all of the talk of classified information, President Trump isn't being accused of violating statutes that protect classified information. Instead, he's laughingly being charged with 31 counts of violating the Espionage Act through, quote, willful retention of classified records, plus 6 counts including obstruction of justice and false statements. The special counsel Jack Smith is twisting the law into almost as big a pretzel as Alvin Bragg of New York, when with fairy dust and unicorn poop, he took a state misdemeanor that had the statute of limitation run out and turned it into a federal felony, a complete bastardization of the rule of law. It's what Democrats do best. Speaking of which, we're told by leftists that the case against President Trump is ironclad. So that begs the question, why the selective leaking and dirty tricks? The inquisitor, Jack Smith, sought to keep the witness list against President Trump a secret. It was an effort to ensure that President Trump couldn't properly defend himself. This is because Democrats largely don't believe in the fundamental fairness that the American judicial system is supposed to live up to. A judge rejected this naked attempt at taking away President Trump's rights. Many Americans see what CNN and the rest of the press is trying to do: make sure that President Trump, the leading GOP contender for the presidency, doesn't get reelected. But there is another motive. CNN and the rest of the Democrats who dominate the press are out to protect Quid Pro Joe, their big guy. The anti-American leftists who dominate the press have all but ignored whistleblower revelations about the man who sits in the Oval Office at this moment, Joe Biden. Mountains of credible evidence indicates that Jake Tapper's favorite party, Nicole Wallace's favorite party, the favorite party of the majority of the press, that their leader sold out our nation to foreign countries and enemies for cash. Thus, they must talk about Trump to avoid talking about the alleged traitorous activities of the man and the party they support. But some in the biased press might claim that changing U.S. foreign policy for cash isn't as important as mishandling classified information. So let's accept that premise for the moment. Now, if you tune into MSNBS, you'll hear the Marxist shills on that network claiming that President Trump is the biggest threat to classified information and our nation's secrets.
There's one president who values our national security and protects our secrets, and there's another former president and candidate who doesn't.
That there is Jen Psaki, claiming that Joe Biden would never disrespect our nation's secrets by stealing classified documents. But is that true? And where are the fact checkers on all of this? Well, I guess it falls to me. Joe Biden has admitted that he has illegally possessed classified information dating back to 1974. Real Americans who know our system know that Senator Joe Biden and Vice President Joe Biden never had the authority to declassify or hold classified information. It's my sad duty to inform you that the folks at MSNBS, CNN, and the rest of the press are either too stupid to know these facts or are intentionally hiding those facts from their audiences. I'll leave it up to you to decide which. But Joe Biden's admitted crimes are worse than just illegally taking classified information over decades. Joe Biden, in violation of more U.S. laws, 18 U.S.C. 793F, stored the illegally possessed classified information in his garage by the Corvette. Apparently, only CNN, MSNBS, and other Democrats in the media think Joe Biden's garage is a secure place to store the nation's secrets. Joe Biden also stored top-secret documents in a building that was bought and paid for by Communist China, America's greatest enemy and threat. Yet Trump is accused. Trump is under indictment. And the biased press carries the water for the deep state, against the rule of law, against fundamental fairness, against the American people. So, is any of the attacks on Trump about protecting the American people? Joe Biden's open borders, the Democrats' skyrocketing crime, and tanking economy would indicate otherwise. It turns out that the press is laser focused on the people they fear. And the people they fear are those who put America first, ahead of the political power and political interests of the socialists and the Democrat Party. It's probably why they don't fear Mitt Romney, Mitch McConnell, John Cornyn, and their ilk. Just like the press, that type of Republican is in it for the benefit of Democrats, too. Part of our struggle is finding out who our friends are and who we should support. If the press, our enemies, the Surrender Caucus GOP, and the cancel culture oppose someone, well, chances are you should be supporting that person. Conversely, if the biased press refuses to report fairly on someone, if the sponsors of our cultural decay flash their body parts at children, then turn around and support a particular candidate or political party, if permanent Washington rallies around a person or party that punishes we the people in order to preserve government largesse, well, that might signal who the enemies within are. And that will tell you who's looking out for you and who isn't. And knowing is half the battle. The other half is acting to strip power from those who are harming you and your family. If you need to know what to do, just take a look at what the other side is doing to steal your rights. And do that. Do that to preserve those rights.